You know you have a trash can.
A trash can? Ava, do you want me to just throw it and stuff it in a trash can? Is that what you'd like? Or maybe we could send it to the liquid biofuel factory. That could work. Fix it doesn't waste, am I right? Now in the mornings as I get ready for my little routine, I like to put the coffee on. I mean, I don't have a cup, but I like to put the coffee on and wash my hands and then get my bean burrito out of the microwave to get me set for the day. Looks like the weather's pretty good. Things feel pretty much the same, but a little different. And that's because we're on update 1.1. Now this update, for most people probably already know, but just for those who don't, it's largely a cosmetic update, largely a quality of life update. Nothing really terribly changing with the logic of anything. In fact, nothing will be changing with the logic of anything. No new machines, no recipes, no builds. So I felt pretty comfortable at moving over to the experimental build after playing it for a while, and it's had its first patch now. So I know that some people are following along, and that's a bit of a question mark on whether they should move over or not. I would say yes. I think it's pretty stable. Plus, if you choose not to move over, you could still follow along because all the builds are going to be the same. However, I will be using some cosmetics and things like that today that are going to be utilizing the new stuff that we're going to get in 1.1. So on the right hand side of the screen, one of the things I want to work on is biofuel trucks. We have a liquid biofuel factory. It's just completely full up of liquid biofuel, basically, packaged. And I'd like to start supplying our trucks with that. So we're going to hook it up to the road network that we built in the previous episode, and then sort of modernize how we're going to be feeding trucks and tractors going forward. Then we're going to be able to bring in our pipe delivery, so steel pipe from the steel factory into the iron factory that we built in the previous episode. We'll dress up some of the new cosmetics that we have into that factory and put walls and a roof on it and try to finalize the look and feel of it. And we also have to do the iron overflow. We've got several products just going into storage bins right now, but they need to go into a proper overflow system, awesome sinks, dimensional depots, that kind of thing. Then, I feel like if we got any time left, we'll head over to the turbo fuel factory, where we produce our power, and there's a big open, empty area in there that seems well suited now to building a sort of control room with an elevator. And then finally, while this is all going on in the background, we're going to be doing several milestones. So, if we just quickly check over at the hub again, what milestones do we currently have laying in front of us? We have monorail train technology. This is a big one. A lot of people want to see trains. So we'll definitely be getting that. So 250, 500, 1000, and 1000. We have all of these components. It's just a matter of getting them all together. Railway signaling. Computers is something we don't have, but we could make them manually. We have the other two components. And then pipeline engineering. 50 heavy modular frames, plastic 1000, and rubber 1000. Of course, we have this. We just set up a heavy modular frame factory in the previous episode. So we should be able to do all of these today. So one of the first things I wanted to do is actually have a look at our tickets. We have 104. That we can get out of our awesome sink, and then quickly take a look at what new cosmetics are available here in the Fix It Awesome shop. So let's get the Fix It factory card. I actually just never got it anyway, and there's a bunch of tapes here, but we'll leave them, and then we have our various statues. In the management category, a brand new conveyor wall hole. Interestingly, we also have the conveyor throughput monitor. Not really working as intended, I would say, personally, or it is, but not as people would like it to. We'll talk about that later. Nothing else really in the management category. In organization, we can now make basic shelves. It's just funny to get excited. We can get basic shelf units. It actually is pretty sick, though. In the walls category, nothing here either. Architecture, we now have the personnel elevator. Not the personal elevator, the personnel elevator. Further down, we also then have the structural cable packs. So that's going to be made up of braided cable clusters and just braided cable. And then the rounded concrete beam, the H-beam, and the shelf beam. These ones are awesome as well. And ventilation bundles. Something people often ask me in the refinery builds that I used to do was asking whether, like, where's the smoke going from your smelters? Well, now we have an answer to that. So that's come at a very fortuitous time because we just built all these smelting units. And we can finally get the coffee cup. Maybe actually putting it under the coffee drip will do something for us. So 41 tickets in total. So if we discount the things that were already in the update, so the factory carts and the coffee cup, it looks like we have 30 tickets worth of new things to get. Give me that coffee cup. Now, I was thinking in here, this is where we can start to put some of these shelves. So I've actually been storing up some of the things that I found at hard drive sites and just other places generally. But now we can actually display it on a big row of shelves that go deeper into this area. So I like the idea of doing this place up a little bit. We'll probably do that in future. But the reason I came in here is because also in the quartz chain, we now have a priority merger. Alright, so we've got the priority merger. It merges up to 3 conveyor belts into one. Inputs can be prioritized to always be merged before the others. So it's very specific building. I can't think of many use cases where you'd need it, but I've certainly run into a few in the past where I just wanted something that allowed me to determine which belt you took from first. So we'll run a little test. Let's get a Mark III belt to feed into each one here. And as you can see, on the left we have silica, on the center we have concrete, and the right we have wire. So I want to send something in there. Let's say I want to send silica into that one. So we'll just say that the priority for silica is high, and this one is medium, and then wire is low. Let's see if this works, right? So this should be silica first. And by the looks of things, a little bit of concrete crept out because we hooked it up obviously before we set it, so that's totally fine. But yeah, so that's basically how it works. Now when the silica runs out, man, I put more silica in here than I thought. Let's just take this out so we can actually see this example working a bit better. Right, so our silica is drained, and now the concrete can go. So cool. I really love the design of it. You can actually see which one has the higher priority based on the lights that's on it, both on the top and the sides. So really cool looking. I feel like they also changed the model for the regular merger. There's now like little hooks and stuff on the sides, which I don't know if that was there before. These little belt clasps, maybe it was. But I feel like it's more in line with that now. Anyway, it's just something I noticed while I was over there. Another thing we have now in the logistics category is the conveyor wall hole. So obviously similar to the floor hole, this can just be placed on the wall anywhere we want. Now, unlike the regular walls that have holes in them, you can't see through these. So a little bit of a shame on that part, but not to be unexpected because it can also be placed on anything you want. So I guess having transparency between materials, like this material still exists all the way through, it's just covering it up with a giant shadow effectively, but still super cool, right? We can place them anywhere we want, and it'll certainly go a long way with aesthetics for just hiding a bunch of stuff. So we'll send all of those in there. Something else that we've got, which is really super nice, is we now have curved modes for belts. So we can get a super clean curve as it rolls around into wherever you're sending it. So really, really nice on that one. Let's just speed this up as well. So we can do that for each one. You can see they're all coming out at different points, but they can all now curve into the same area. That's the kind of effect you get. Now, obviously, I prefer straight belts in most situations, but it's super cool to have curves, especially when it comes to pipes. I think they look quite good. But curved belts, if you're creatively... well... I'm creatively bankrupt because I can't even think of the word for it, but if you're of a creative mind, I guess, or if you're creatively inclined, you could probably do something quite cool with them over long distances especially. Alright, so I'm here at the motor factory, so I thought it'd be a good idea to show the conveyor throughput monitor. Quite an interesting little concept, the way they've done this. So effectively I got pretty hyped when I first saw this, because I was like, sweet, we're going to be able to read exactly how much moves on belts. But you kind of can't. It depends. If you've got a free moving belt like this, it will work as it should. We have 20 motors per minute, by the way. So you can see that it takes a little bit of a wind-up time. It's calibrating. It's literally scanning what goes through it using advanced laser technology. And I'll show you the problem in just a minute, but as we can see, it's kind of going to go up and then down. As things are passing through, it's like, oh yeah, it must be about 22, but then nothing goes by, so it's like, probably the average is around this, and then eventually it settles, right? So it'll settle on 20 per minute, because this is a free-flowing belt, so this one will actually give us an accurate readout, so it's totally great. We could do the same for over here. We should have about 280 wire per minute flowing on by, so we'll stick that there, and then we'll check both of them to see how they're doing. So straight away, it's a nice high number, it knows what's going on. And it should be able to get its way up to 280 in just a moment. And then when it has the gaps, it falls back down, and as you can see, it just averages out. So totally fine. I'm totally down with having a wind-up time. I actually think a way to solve the problem with this currently is to just give it a much longer wind-up time, and you can click it to configure it. It would be so awesome if you could say, like, show me the average consumption over 30 seconds, 60 seconds, 180, 2 minutes, 4 minutes, whatever, maybe all the way up to 6 minutes or something like that, because you can underclock machines, and sometimes, especially later in the game, you'll have machines that have very long burn times on certain things, like fuel rods, or I guess different quantum technology can take like 2 minutes, and if you underclock machines, they take even longer. So I'm just going to head upstairs now and show you an example of where this doesn't work. So up here, we have a readout of 150 per minute, and it's been there for a while. So it says 150 per minute is traveling along this belt. I know this is inaccurate though, so if we just have a quick look, we can see that each machine takes 30 wire per minute, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 30 times 6 is 180 per minute. all the machines are running at 100%, right? So they're 100% all the way down the line, right? We don't need to worry about it. Trust me, it's 100%. And they're all connected to the same belt line. There's no other place feeding this, so it's just one source coming in here, and it's at 150. Can you tell why it's at 150? Well, because as the machines are ticking and winding up, they stall for a little bit. And as they stall, it looks like nothing's moving by the belt. So they're not counting accurately everything that's moving past it. It's largely also because these are full. If these were emptied, then you'd have a free moving belt, and it would be able to detect the 180 moving past it. So a little bit of an issue with that one. You know, it's not very accurate. Therefore, you can't really rely on it. Therefore, you're not really going to use it. But I do think if the average wind-up time could be set, it would detect the correct amount passing by, whether things are stopping or not. So I feel like they're really close. And it's worth mentioning, it is an experimental. This happens too, where it just, when you go far away and then come back, it calibrates and just says 0. Or it doesn't calibrate, actually. It bugs out, and then it says it's calibrating as if you just placed it, but it's not. Now, it's still internally doing the readouts that it had before. And you can see how crazy it is. It's like 30, and then 30, and then 60, and then 30, and it's just trying to get an average. So I think if you could give it a longer average time, the numbers probably would be okay. I have a nuclear, and this one worked too, 280, so that's correct. Again, because it's a free moving belt. So no problems. It's not getting stalled in manifold machines, even though we know that it's obviously taking in that correct amount. So a little bit of an issue with that one, but I just thought we'd point it out. We're almost there for throughput monitors, which would be super dope to have. Now, something I don't really plan on showcasing too much here is the hypertubes. So I don't really use hypertubes too much, but I'm going to try and use them a bit more. Now that there's a little bit more variety with them, I think we should probably try to build them into at least bigger factories and maybe between certain destinations. Generally, though, I like just driving the Explorer to get around or taking a train if it's a long distance. But with hypertube junctions and branches, it just makes things a little nicer and a lot more free-flowing. So I'll try to use them a bit more in future, but these are two new objects I just thought we should touch on. Something quite interesting you can do because of the junctions and because of the way the branches work, you can actually create a little loop that then branches into a main area. So if you want to get that speed bonus to do, you know, the way a lot of people do their cannons where they fly off really far, now it's way easier and a lot less glitchy because you can just build a loop and then hold A or D, right, to go left or right. So you're just holding to go right, around in the loop, 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 and then you hold left, and then you just fly out the side. So you can kind of create your own little, your own cannons now in a lot more of an easier way. So yeah, so that should be pretty fun to do as well. The next thing I thought worth showing was just all the different cosmetics we've got now. So we have the basic shelf unit that we looked at before, so these can actually be zooped in a line. I actually think they could look pretty decent as scaffolding as well. So that could be kind of another way you could use them if you wanted to. Or just like as supports for maybe signs or something that you wanted to hang over a road or whatever the case might be. Then we have the H-beam, so pretty standard. It has these two like outer edges. It kind of looks like the standard metal beam, but obviously you can paint it. Then we've got the shelf beam, so almost looks like you could climb it with like a ladder or something. You can't, but it looks pretty good. Now the difference between these two is kind of interesting. You've got little rivets on the sides here. These don't have that. Then we've got the rounded concrete beam. We have the braided cable and the braided cable cluster. So again, making bridges with supports and stuff like that could look pretty cool now. Of course, you'd want to use these maybe in diagonal mode, so you can like link it to two supports and look like you're suspending a bridge. We'll actually do a little bit of that later. We then have the ventilation, which is awesome, right? The large fan. So this one's actually animated, so it looks really cool. And then we have the large vent as well. The paint jobs on these are pretty interesting. You got two different accents of color, but I think with this one, you just have a very, very, very light trim on it. And the others are just one solid color. The rounded concrete beam can't be given a finish, which is a little unusual because standard concrete can. So I don't know if that's just missing or what the deal is with that. And then the regular beams can be unpainted if you want to get that metal effect on them. So yeah, I love all this. More cosmetics, the better. I would love even more, you know. I would personally, and I'm not saying it's easy, but personally love to see lots of different materials in the game for foundations. So part of me thinks like this here could be like a foundation material of some sort, even if it wasn't like completely transparent, but like I would love to have that. I think that'd be great. And just generally way more patterns and things like that would be awesome too. Oh, and I almost forgot, we have our corner road barrier here. So also love this. It's obviously just a very small thing, but it's something that was kind of needed. I don't know what's going on with this. It's like latching onto the middle, but if we just build that there, we can now snap it onto the sides here. And it just, you know, allows you to then branch off from this side now or whatever, if you wanted to. Again, I don't know why this is acting so funny. but we could just nudge it into position. There we go. So yeah, just a little accent for turning. Now, one thing that I think could be quite cool with this, actually, is just adding little signs onto it. So if I just grab a foundation, let's say just anywhere here, and we pop this down, and we use the little square sign. One of the best features, well, another really nice feature is we can see which side the sign is angled up to now, or facing. We can also nudge it, so pressing page down allows us to nudge vertically, finally. Another good thing is that you can nudge infinitely now, no mod required, and we can just keep going. See you later. So super happy about that, obviously. So we'll just flatten this on the ground. Now we can just raise this and bring it across, and boom. So we could obviously then just make this a bright light, something like that, and give it high emission strength. Copy that and paste that. One other great thing is we can get rid of this. If we just copy this, flatten it, it's the same. It copies the settings of the things that you had. So that's another amazing thing that wasn't in the game. So that's really, really good. Also, along that same vein, what we could also do is, let's see, customizer, patterns, pop an arrow on this. We'll give it a paint job. Now if we copy this, there we go. I did rotate it, by the way. So we're also copying patterns and the color of objects as well. One thing that we don't quite have, so this was like the persistent paintables mod that I just talked about in a previous video. But one thing we don't have yet is just getting the paint from looking at the thing. So if I had a different paint job selected, you could just look at an object, and I can't remember what the hotkey was for it, but just like you would copy anything, you could copy just the paint if you had your paint tool selected. So you select your paint tool and then you're copying the paint. So would really like to have that feature as well if they've got any time left with their early access. I think that'd be awesome. Alright, so that's pretty much everything to do with cosmetics I wanted to show here, just very briefly. We'll obviously be building now properly. I'm going to get working now on the biofuel trucks, and anything else like the personnel, elevator, or anything else, quality of life features like the blueprints linking. We'll see it as we're building later on. I say that just as I was running over, though, I remembered, of course, we can do our milestone now. So I've been just building up this material in the background. Gonna need a little bit more steel beam and a little bit more encased beam, but we should just be able to pull it out of the dimensional depot. So we'll grab our steel beam. There we go. Alright, monorail train technology, ready for launch. I'm so glad I've waited till 1.1 before doing trains, because building trains...
Trains are excellent for efficiently...
Be quiet, Ava. Building trains with the blueprint auto-connect now is going to be such a dream, because the railways will just connect between blueprints as we place them. So this will make things go way faster, and be much more dynamic now with the curved rail system that they've implemented, so you can kind of curve your rails and change the direction so much easier than before. So in a future episode, it won't be the next couple, but probably in the third one after this one, we'll be building trains, I think. And we'll build a train network. It's going to be awesome. Can't wait. It's going to be so much easier than it was before. I cannot stress that enough. It's getting a little dark, but I'm just outside the liquid biofuel factory, and we're going to branch off a piece of the road just somewhere here. So I'm just going to grab this one. We'll rotate it facing the direction it's heading. And that's actually just snapping automatically and lining up just where we want it. We'll have to just nudge it in, though. This bar kind of offsets us just a little bit. So we'll just go like that. I'm then going to build a ramp that goes down. So we'll have to go into the blueprints for that. So road infrastructure. It's a medium road. It's an addition. We want the ramp going down. Just 2 meters would be fine. Now, this is where we previously had problems. But now, oh my god, so easy. so good. Right, we'll grab this again. And we'll just build off of that straight ahead. There we go. That should be totally fine. Right, it's proper dark now. I don't have my SkyUI mod. None of the mods are active, right? So I can't change the time of day, so we'll just have to live with it being a little bit dark for a while. So going from this height, do we need to move further forward? I think this is probably fine. Let's see, maybe we'll do 3x2. That gives us a pretty big platform to work with. Right, so let's do that. Now I'm going to go into blueprints. We'll go to universal buildables, the foundations that have 2 layers. We'll shift this across to be in line with the barrier. Do that one, and we're creeping through a little bit, so we'll just head into the factory, get rid of the bit that's actually creeping through. And we could quickly check how this place is doing. So We've got 16 containers filling up with liquid biofuel, all from the first time I deposited anything, and we've almost filled the 16th container. If I quickly take a look downstairs, we can see if we've still got any more alien protein to get through. No. And we could then check if there's any more solid biofuel to go through, because there was a big container for that also in here. Yes, 4,800, so that one's still full. So still lots of biofuel to go. So our new little platform here, obviously going to make this into asphalt. I just did it as one of the blueprints so that we could get the bottom correct. So the bottom is going to be grip metal, so that when we're under this place, it'll look like just a proper floor. Although we could do concrete or something else. It's just so that I don't see the asphalt underneath. I'd rather see something else. Now I'm just going to grab the basic wall and just extend that. So that's pretty straightforward. Just bring that all the way down. And this one too. Now that it keeps the color, we are building so much quicker than we need to, or we used to. And same with this. That can just end here. Awesome. Looking good. Then we can just grab this and extend it out, keeping the direction facing the same way. So we'll just go all the way down to the end. I might actually change the color of this one, put railing on it, because this is sort of like the factory space, in a way. Oh yeah, thinking about it, actually, this should be concrete. So 2 layers of concrete at least. And then we'll put our truck station just somewhere here in the middle. So maybe just right about here. So in future, this place will be using drones to deliver most of its biofuel to other truck stations, but it's still good to have one to actually be able to access and pick up from. So I think that's totally fine. I want this fuel input lined up with the center of a foundation, so that should be good. I did say, oh yeah, did I save it out actually as a, yeah, the concrete corner. So let me just get rid of that for a second. We should be able to do the corner in now. Yeah, cute. Nice. I like it anyway. Right, so similarly, I guess we'll just get the actual road infrastructure generic segments. Yeah, this can just go across now. So I would say that this needs to be a doorway, and we'll get rid of this also. So let's go to our walls. Central door wall. In you go. This can be just a small wall. We get the carbon steel color for all of that. That way we can come in. So we'll have to create a sort of walkway here for that as well. Right, there. So that wall hole could just go straight in, and now we can use this to feed down into here. And this one can feed up. Now, I don't know if we'll be able to fit in there. Yeah, I had a feeling it wouldn't work. It's such a shame, because I feel like that should work just fine, but that's okay. We can just bring this one down instead and in. Still gives us room to move in between them. Right, and we'll just connect this into there. Now, I'm going to paint these belts, and then anytime we just grab that belt, we'll have the color automatically. So now standing up here. Now, we want this to come out from that storage container. Can I lower this? I can. So if I lower it by 2, it keeps the height correct, and we can build another support right on it. Can't commit to it though right now, can I not? Straight belt actually works. Let's do a straight belt there just for now. Grab the ceiling mount, I guess, and just build that above itself. Yeah. Alright, so we're coming out of this one. So the one on the bottom is actually really the one that everything needs to be drawn from, but I'll use the one on the top as well. I think that's totally fine, because this gets drawn out from that side, and this comes out from this side. So this just works out nicer. So it'll be like an even split between the two. So we want to go to here, but then down to, I think. And that just works. Great. Alright, so here's what we've got. We have our 2 lanes as we come in. Obviously, we crest around to the truck station, we load up, or we refuel, depending on what we want to do. Maybe with the Explorer, that's what I'll do. Also, when pulling in here for the first time, we can just, like, smash in there, get out, we can hop in. So I've got this basic little walkway that kind of comes down now. I was trying to use something different, right? So we have the braided cable now as supports for the actual staircase, right? So rather than supporting from the bottom, because there's something that needs to go out that way, we're supporting from the top instead. I know it's a bit, maybe a little weird looking in this situation. Just eager to use those things. I added an extra support for the belt here as well. But other than that, everything's pretty much the same as it was. So yeah, happy enough with it. We go through, we have our new window support thing, and that's it. So now we just have to actually drive our first truck from here over to there. Right, so this is the truck station that I want to deliver into. So obviously fuel is going to be coming out of here. So just get a splitter along the center. 1, 2, 3. Something like this. And, well, actually, this one could probably stay in the bottom. But I guess just to be safe, do this instead. Alright, straight mode. So it's still going to refuel itself, although it probably doesn't need to do that. And then here, we're going to be aiming in on the side. So 1, 2, and 3. Like that. Bring that down and in. And then the same one. It's just 3 stations here, so pretty quick. Now this might be intersecting the steel pipe belt, actually. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, it looks like it will. So I'll have to just redraw that belt in a moment. And I'll snap that in. Right, so now this can connect down the line. And to here as well. Alright, so gonna start the route. Let's begin. And what we need to do is basically just overcompensate for when we need to turn. So we need to turn much earlier than you otherwise would. So we're gonna turn like right here. And then snap into like where we need to go. And the same thing maybe down this side. So giving ourselves lots of space to turn early. And there. Right, so now we can load up. So we're obviously only gaining 60 per minute, so I haven't even got a full truckload yet anyway. We only want to do a wait time here for about, I don't know, 15 to 30 seconds. Always keep this truck station free. We'll wait in the other factory though. So let's just see if we can get that turn going. And then we want to overcompensate and turn really early here. Good. We'll veer out to the left just a little bit and then do our turn again. So the wait time of the other factory, like I said, is going to be, I don't know, maybe 20 minutes. That's 1,200 seconds, I think. Something like that, anyway. So let's get our turn on now. And turn here. Cool. I'll just work our way over to this station now. Bonk. Great. So yeah, about 20 minutes I think will be fine, because all we have is 2 other stations. So 2 other routes. You know, one for heavy modular frames, obviously very low volume. It's not going to be driving very often. The other one is steel pipe. It looks like we've actually run out of steel pipe because the manufacturers have stopped. So I'll have to get on that now in a second. So just try to close the loop here. So turn. And hopefully that'll visually look good enough. Like I said, if you don't do the overcompensated turns, it's fine. It would still work just okay. So we'll say liquid biofuel to Iron Factory Complex 03. And this is just doing liquid biofuel. Okay, so we'll save that. Great. So now autopilot, off you go. We'll just adjust the wait time on this, like I said, to about 20 minutes, and then we'll drive our route to go get the steel pipe. So let's say 1,200 seconds. I'd say you could probably set this to 10 hours if you wanted to, but I've never tried setting something that high, and I feel like the timer's reset when you load into the game, so 20 minutes is totally fine. So I wanted to build some road signs to kind of just give a more lived-in feel to the world. So we have the motor factory up ahead, compacted coal factory, you know, further down the line as well. Let's just hop into here and turn off the... Oh my god. No, wow. Failed gamer. I hopped out. I pressed X, but I forgot the hotkeys don't always work because trucks are bugged. But you can just do it manually anyway. Right, so the idea behind these signs is, right, we've only got a 2-lane road. I was thinking of putting signs on the left side as well, just to indicate what's still up ahead. But people in my Discord were like, no, you should really just put it on the lane that's relevant, because that's the way it's done on highways. Now, obviously, this isn't a highway. It's a bi-directional, just 2-lane road. So it's 2 different directions, 2 lanes. A highway, it makes sense to have them over each lane because, you know, you might be going different places. Here, it's a bit weird. But anyway, I digress. Just thought I would mention all that. So the way I'm going to do it is this will just say the direction of the next thing. So motor factory and the compacted coal factory. So the motor factory is there. Compacted coal factory there. Those are the next 2 factories on the road network. Then these signs here will indicate what the next signs ahead are going to say. So you could have something up ahead where there's going to be another junction where you have to go left, right, and something else. So if we've got a junction where you go left and right, I'll build another sign off the side of this one. And maybe even nudge this one over. So this one will be here and then here. We'll see that actually as we come out of this one, so I'll show you that in a minute. So the next sign says this. Yeah, the next sign is going to say to the right is going to be like the space elevator. Alright, so I'm in the tractor now. I've got my road signs. For the most part, I think they're decent. They could be improved, so I'll keep thinking on it and how I'm going to lay them out. But generally speaking, pretty happy with this. Motor factory, compacted coal, liquid biofuel in there. I think it makes sense. but I don't want to be spending too long on them, right? So just wherever there's a junction and stuff like that, that's where they'll go down, and that's what they'll say. So I'm going to make my way all the way out to the steel factory now and go pick up some steel pipe, and then can bring it back and make sure that this always stays full of liquid biofuel. Alright, here we are, picking up our steel pipe. So this is going to be in slot number 2. It's just worth pointing out that this is trying to be fed coal, so I'm going to take the coal out of this thing now, just so that it never confuses the biofuel that's kind of coming in here. The other trucks that are currently running from other things can stay using coal, stay using this. But now that this one's on biofuel, we'll just keep it that way. Alright, I've arrived. Steel will be rolling out of here again. Hopefully it'll never stop ever again. So something I am going to have to do actually is unclog some of the machines that are backed up, like the screw machines, just if I want to make everything look nice. I guess you don't technically have to do it, but I'd like to. So we're just going to pull way out to the right, and then rejoin the road network, and then complete the route. I just thought I would show this really quickly as well. This is my Mila note. I often refer to it in the videos, and this is my planning documents, right? So people often ask me, like, how do you plan things or stuff like that. This isn't an advert, by the way. I'm not sponsored. Kind of wish I was, because I do use it and I like it. But I actually don't think it's great for necessarily like planning. It's not built for Satisfactory. It doesn't do calculations. I just upload photos and connect things with arrows. And people often mention like all these different other calculators that are out there, which is great. I'm not knocking any of them. But I just like the flexibility of building a mood board. I can write anything onto it that I want. I can scale things how I want. You know, I'm in control of how it's presented, which is great. Obviously, as a creator, I'm presenting this back to you a lot of the time, so I like to be able to make this as readable as possible, not necessarily just functional. So this is the overall Satisfactory 1.0 series, and these are all the factories that we've got right now. This is the basic startup factory. That's actually gone now, so I could probably delete it. I'll think about adding a deprecated section or something. And the same with the modular frames. So these two things are gone now, but what we do still have is the steel foundry. This is just what I wanted to mention. The game can get kind of complicated when you start sending things from one factory to another and you start wondering, do you have enough? We just connected the steel foundry, sorry, to our iron complex. So I actually make 160 steel pipe per minute. Now in surplus, that means I've got 40 left over. So I'm sending 120 to the iron complex. So I think it's just worth doing that because over time this can get crazy. I've got other Mila notes that aren't nearly as organized, and I had a whole massive spreadsheet of like everything I make and where things are pulling from, and even then when I was trying to be organized I still would lose track. So now I'm actually drawing arrows from one to the other. So each little bubble here is the factory, and this is then the kind of layout document I have for it. And then I write some certain notes to do with the episode. Like I used mods in this one, and this is how I was going to do the individual like separation of logic when I couldn't fit everything on one belt. We needed 600 per minute, and this is like 480. So again, this is just all for me. This is how I do it, but I just thought I would put that out there, that if you use Google Sheets maybe, or something, just something that you can maybe track in the... Oh, you could do it in-game using signs. But when you build a factory and you hook up, let's say 3 or 4 stations or even more to getting different materials, it's just worth writing it down somewhere and putting them all in one place. I'm looking forward to, in future, looking back on this and going like, oh yeah, like we've got 40 left because we send 120 here. That's where it's wrong. So if this runs out of steel pipe, I know where to track this to and where to, you know, basically trace it back to. So at the motor factory, we've got 20 motors, 20 rotors, and 280 wire. You know, it's also good at when planning the next factory, determining like what we have already. So what I want to do is start making smart plating pretty soon. It needs reinforced iron plates and rotors. I know that we've got 20 per minute. I could use 10 machines and make 10 smart plating per minute. Now, do we have the appropriate amount of reinforced iron plate? No. We have 6. So that's what we make in this factory. So I haven't actually given this like a little table yet, but I'll be building a table just next to it to say like what the full outputs are here. The idea was that this factory, wasn't really meant to output anything other than heavy modular frames. Really, it should just be called a heavy modular frame factory. The idea though is that these just go into for me to personally build with, not to send to other factories. I mean, we do have 40 iron plates per minute. That's pretty good, but I mean, you could use that quite quickly when building. So I kind of thought like, yeah, a lot of rods, a lot of plates. These are the things that we need. So I adjusted the amounts all based on that, thinking that I didn't want anything left over. I didn't want to send it to other factories. We'll just use them. The tractor, the distance is struggling there a little bit. I'll have to neaten that up. I did drive really close to the edge, actually, so it might be worth maybe removing this one, as that's probably the struggle point. Is he gone now? Oh, hey, come back here. You're fine, you're fine. Just hide the nodes. I'll hop out. Right, so he'll readjust and figure itself out in a moment. Alright, so that's pretty much it. I just thought I would touch on that like little planning document just in case you're wondering like how do you decide how much you're going to need. 120 per minute is coming out of here thanks to the 120 per minute belt. That's all that's needed in this factory, so that's how much we're taking away from the steel foundry, and now I know that I've got 40 left over if I need to send it anywhere else. Alright, so let's see. Mark II belt will go from here to their straight belt. And we'll just color that one as well. And there we go. It's kind of appearing before the tube, but it's good enough. Little early access things, or experimental things. Alright, so with that, we now have our tractor waiting 10 minutes, our truck waiting 20, everything's colored appropriately. So 10 minutes. Basically, I was doing a little bit of math. If we say that a tractor has 25 slots, steel pipe can hold 200 on a stack, that's 5,000 in total. So it can move 5,000 in one batch when it's filling up. So if we divide that by the need, which is 120 per minute, we can say that there's 41 minutes is how long it would take to fill up a truck. So you could wait 40 minutes, and then the minute and a half it takes to get there is probably enough. But I've just put it to 10, because I don't know, just to completely play it safe, in case the timer's ever reset on load or something like that. 10 minutes is good for me, you know, a quarter of the time that's needed. Like I said, we're going to be burning very little fuel in general, so I'm not too worried about it. So that's just my reasoning for why I went with that time anyway. So 10 minutes and 20 for these two respectively. Alright, so I think with that is the biofuel trucks now completely done. That's the pipe delivery handled. We showed off some of the cosmetics, or most of the cosmetics now. We'll get to the personal elevator a little bit later. Maybe a hypertube or two, but I'll just mark off... Actually, no, I won't mark off cosmetics yet. We've got a little bit to do with the smelting units. So the plan for me, anyway, was to... Let's just take this one. Actually, I'll take the one further down as an example. It's got good distance. The plan for me was to use ventilation up on the top and use some of the beams to kind of mask some of the glass that we can see. So from a distance, and I haven't even touched on it yet, but the new photo mode is fucking awesome. But from a distance, we can see here that there's black lines going through here, and that's because of the windows. So we're going to try and mask that a little bit. But I'll be pretty quick about this. So I had previously, in a previous episode, said that we'd use a different type of... frame pillar thing to create a belt, but I'm just going to use the standard one, the big one. I'll use zoop mode to go all the way across, link it to here. So I'm pretty happy with that. So now we have a little support for our belt that's traveling within it. The next thing that I thought we could do is, even as good as it looks, I thought we could probably just cover it and make this a walkway. So you've actually got free movement sliding on this thing, but I'll just bring it pretty much to in line with where it needs to go, which is, I guess in all technicality, it's actually about there. About there? Yeah, I'll just zoop this across now. Boom. Alright, and we could do that on the bottom as well, I think. So, if I was to grab this and go down, 1, 2, 3, 4, we could go across, and that would create a little bottom layer. Now I wonder, could I just go up a little bit? That might look even better. And that way some of this stuff will be visible from the bottom still, which I think, yeah, that is nicer. Cool. Instead of just the metal being on the bottom, we actually have the steel. Okay. So we'll just finish this off and just bring this back across. Won't be connecting into anything too important, so I'm not too worried about it. So large fans. I was thinking 1, 2, and 3, if that's center aligned. We could give these the blue color to kind of clash against the, or to kind of, I don't know what the term is, but you know, use it against the white. And actually, contrast, I guess, against the white, just like we do. Yeah, just make that white trim as well. Cool, so that looks good. Now we'll get our H-beam again. And I think starting just here on the edge. Actually, you know what might look even better? We'll do the shelf beam. I think shelf beam would look really good here. Shelf beam can go all the way across to the 40-meter mark. Perfect. And we'll just color this one blue. Then we can grab this one and do the same thing. What the hell is that? It had like a purple color there. Or am I just going blind? Colorblind, I guess. Alright, nice. So we'll grab this. We'll do the same on the bottom. And it'll just look like it's kind of supported, I guess, by shelf beams to an extent. Now we want it to be on the wall and then across 40 meters standard. Do it on the other side. So again, I could probably do a blueprint out of this, right? Instead of doing it manually every time, but I just thought it would show the build process. So that's what we got. I quite like it. I think it looks kind of cool. A bit different. We could, if this is going to be a walkway, then put the railing on top. So about there. And bring it all the way down. Give that a color, but I'll invert the colors. So we'll get the blue on the bottom and the white on the top. And do the same on this. I think I went a bit too short with that. Damn. Yeah, sorry, my bad. Start there instead and just go all the way down. 10. Alright, nice. Now we've got a little walkway that leads in. And obviously we need doorways, so we'll get rid of this. And we'll start to do a wall with a door on it. So wall with a door on it here. And there. Then we'll just grab this and we'll go down to the 4 meter mark. And this one, 4 meter mark. Actually, I'm going to be really particular with it. That was rotated the wrong way, so do this instead. Alright, gotta invert my colors yet again. Really wish there was just an invert button. Love it if they had that. Alright, cool. Now, we want to clean up these seams, so I'm going to use a H-beam for that. And we'll take this blue color to start with. I'm going to start down at the very bottom. And rotate up. It's actually facing the right direction already, so that's just 40 meters clean. Oh, it's not blue for some reason. Okay. Oh, I guess because I changed what it was. So if you pick something, this would be blue, but if I change it, it won't be. Right, so start here. This can go straight up. 16 meters. And here, that can go up to 8. So, just from afar, kind of hide some of the seams. Would absolutely love, again, just while I'm requesting things, could we just get rid of the seams? Could we just have another window without the seams, please? That'd be really nice. I know it might be weird, like you might just run into an invisible wall every day because you can't see it, but who wouldn't think that's funny? Yeah, so I'd love to have that in the game as well if we got that at some point. So inside of here, I'll have to just get some walkway to come out, maybe around this lift and connect in here or connect down to the bottom, because ultimately we have over here staircase that leads up. I was thinking of putting an elevator in here. I just don't think it's necessary for 3 floors. 3 floors is a bit overkill for a personal lift. I would just use... Yeah, and by the way, the smoke VFX has changed. Really do like it. It's quite cool. Yeah, anyway, so that's pretty much it. I'll just do a little bit of work inside with the walkways and stuff, but that's a bit of extra cosmetics that I wanted to touch on. So this is what we got now, and I'll clean up the power as well. So something cool about the new photo mode is if we lower the aperture down a bit, and then we scroll in, we focus on certain things, we can make this look really good, actually. Hang on. Just hop up here. We've got there a little soft blur on it, please. Not too bad. And then just hide the UI. So there we go, that's what we got. SU4. And then when looking at other machines, you get a cool effect as well. Let's see if we can get a good angle on something. So if we stand up here, maybe. I know it's very blurry right now, sorry, just bear with me. Yeah, you can really like focus in on the belts and stuff when the aperture is set like this. Now the aperture is a bit tight, to be fair, at the moment, the way I've done it. But I love it. I think this photo mode is so cool. And obviously, one of the really cool things about it is we can see ourselves. Our little guy. I don't think I've ever shown myself in the game. I'm kind of nervous. But yeah, no, it's I kind of went with the yellow and blue. It's kind of supposed to be sort of like Fallout vibes for my color scheme and outfit, I guess. At least that's what I was thinking. But it gives you perspective on how big you are. I mean, we're really no bigger than a merger or a splitter. It's kind of crazy. So let me just wind this up just a little bit so it's not so blurry. But yeah. And of course you can set like little cosmetics and stuff. I'm sure this episode will probably feature some at some point where it makes sense. Looks like things are moving okay. Do we have any yellow lights? I guess it's a little harder to do this now, where we just zoom in. Looking for yellow lights on any of these machines. But looks like we're pretty efficient across the board. Things are moving. Let's have a look down at the actual manufacturers, which are down there. Yeah, it looks good to me. Alright, cool. So anyway, that's the new photo mode. Shout out to it. And the dolly and the tracking, love it. I know, and all the different filters, it's super cool. So that's one of the cosmetics. I think I'll largely just do these now cosmetics on my own. And then we'll just talk through them, because I think you get it. And I want to focus on building the control room over in the turbo fuel factory, so I don't want to take up too much time. And I also have to build something here to make this look a bit more presentable on its way into the factory. So yeah, so let's get to it. Oh, just one thing really quickly before we do more cosmetics. You can delete these now. So I remember I was saying the smoke was just going through that building, but I knew at that point that they said you could delete it, so now we can just kind of chase down little bits and bobs of debris and just basically remove them by deleting them, and you get a little bit of resources back for them as well, which early on you actually might need some of these things, which is kind of cool, because sometimes you'll get rotors, copper sheeting, cable. I guess there's nothing too crazy, but still a little bit of extra resources early on, not too bad. Look at that, motors, stators, copper sheet, you know, early on, that could help you get through a milestone or some MAM upgrades maybe. Now, enough time has passed that I've actually got my 50 heavy modular frames. We have our 1000 rubber and our 1000 plastic for Pipeline Engineering Mark II. So just again, that is obviously to get a Mark II pump and a pipeline that can carry 600. Allegedly, there's some issues with it, so we'll talk about that in future. But let's go. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, we're just outside the liquid biofuel factory, and a significant amount of time has passed. So much so that, boom, the Iron Factory complex is pretty much complete in terms of its cosmetics. I say pretty much, that's because I did just run out of a little bit of time and some materials towards the end, so felt like I needed to wrap this thing up. I'm very, very late with this video, just generally speaking. I'm an awful YouTuber. I often joke that, you know, I make decent videos, but I'm a terrible YouTuber. I'm never consistent. I have really long videos. I spend forever editing. I don't do shorts, and I don't have timely content. You know, I'm talking about 1.1 over a week after it's come out, when I'm sure 99% of people watching this probably thought, like, I've seen all this stuff. Like, I don't care. I would imagine. But I just wasn't really planning or thinking about it. So I realized that when I was looking over the edit, that I'm not going to have enough time to go over to the turbo fuel power plant over there and do those final bits of cosmetics I was talking about. So we'll do that in a future video, and it'll be pretty quick. It's just going to be a control room, but we'll talk about that later. I did mostly get the cosmetics done here. There's actually just a little bit missing here at the front, but we'll have a little run in there and have a look around at various different things and some of the new objects that I didn't actually focus on. So let's just hop out. So this is our new roll-up gate, which is really cool, but I think this tractor is actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 3.5 foundations. If we just tell it to move forward there. There we go. Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, its box is here, but it was like waiting here. So, I mean, what can I do about that? I don't know. I guess in future, maybe tuck it in even further. Right, let's just take this with us and have a little quick chat about what's going on in this factory. Of course, the save file is there if you want to see how some of these cosmetics were done. For the most part, I say the most part, for all consistency's sake, every machine has stayed in the same place, all the truck stops, everything, nothing, I haven't moved anything. I've just built around it. So the main thing that I would have built is the staircase that's kind of going up here and then up here. So this is using some of the new components, the H-beams, just a regular wall, some of the road barriers for trim, the foundation stair set, and then I made sure to put the modern railing on top of the H-beam. So that way it's like raised over the foundations a little bit. Looks like the sun is setting. So I don't have my SkyUI mod on at the moment, so I couldn't really change the time of day, but I actually thought nighttime would be kind of cool to show off some of the lighting effects in this factory. One of the other things that I didn't get round to is sorting out power. So I just have mains power here, which controls turning on and off all the factory and all of these smelting units, but everything else was just left where it was. So the power poles that I had dotted around, I didn't move them or tuck them away yet. I'd like to in future. For the most part, we just have tilted walls here. I would have gone with a heavier tilt, but there's no higher tilted window. So just to even things out, I went with the 4-meter tilt on those. We have some of the wall vents, some of the beam trim, and my little concrete block giving us a little bit of lighting along the way. Of course, patterns, right? So number 1, 2, and 3, where we need to stop. And we have our biofuel truck just waiting over there. And then just some arrows to tell you when to kind of come out and join the main thing and loop back around and out of here. Right, so if we take the next staircase up, like I said, mostly the thing that's changed with this place is that there's now a lot of grip metal foundations wrapping around the factory, and then some glass foundations underneath with some lights underneath them. Actually, this one is missing one. Damn, there's always something. Does this one have it? Yes, so this one has a little light underneath it, which allows us to see the belt down below a little bit better. Now, I realize there's a lot of reflections going on, and I guess we have the northern lights kind of kicking off as well. So it'd be super nice if we got some sort of way to remove the way the reflections are looking, but that's just the way it is. But still, it's nicer. It's nice to see the stuff moving downstairs, and it gets lit just a little bit nicer at nighttime, especially, so that we can actually see the components on the belts. I had found that without the lights underneath these things, it was just really difficult to see, and you can see actually a few of them are missing them. Does this one have it? Yeah. God, it's actually kind of hard to see just generally. Well, even there, it's brighter than it would be, I suppose. Anyway, so these walkways just continue on around the various different areas, right? The different blocks of machines. And then they just connect to the various smelting units so that we can walk out and join them. So we had a look at how these bridges were designed and everything before. A lot of this is now blueprintable. So we have the suspension cable 12 by 20 meters. So now with vertical nudging, it's easy to get these in place. So we just go like this, sink it down, push it in, and boom, right? That'll be it. You do another one there, and you can do as many of these as you like. I didn't want to tie it to the bridge because these could be used for other things, and I'll build other ones of varying sizes in the future where they're needed. I then have a blueprint up here, a metal pillar with a display sign trim, so it's sort of like neon lights that we can kind of see just accenting the whole building. We have the same on the bottom. The thing with these signs are that you don't really see them unless you're kind of in proximity to them. And depending on the angle, if we like go really high up, it's actually not too bad. But yeah, it's just distance, so you can see them almost turning off as the further away we get. But down here, they actually look pretty good. Underneath, we then have a little tunnel that just goes through the factory. I just felt like there was so much concrete, why not just leave it hollow and create a few places where you could go through if you wanted to. So pretty standard, pretty straightforward, just a few little lights and stuff in there. We'll just hop up to the smelting unit and have a look inside really quickly. I've got some throughput monitors on, but they've been kind of bugging out, so we'll see if they're working now. Ah, no, they're bugged out, unfortunately. Oh no, it just came on, actually. Nice. 479. I don't like seeing that. Should be 480, but it's probably just still mini calibrating. This one also, same thing. Yeah, it should be 480. But yeah, they're just a bit buggy, a bit unreliable. But the idea was that you could place them in a few key places like this, just so you can instantly detect what's happening without having to check the machine. This looks like it's running okay. It's a consistent number anyway. And it's pretty dark in here. I never added any lights. Right, so let's just head back. So that's really it. It wasn't done with much thought or reasoning. I was just kind of walking around the factory and making sure every door was accessible by placing in glass walkways or regular grip metal. And then if I could cut through the machines, I decided to do that too. So one of the things I was saying is I'm quite unhappy with, you know, I just feel like things are never good enough. And in some ways, this factory looks totally fine. But one thing I realized, like this design of putting a constructor with its merges and stuff on modern railing, the idea was that you walk around, but you can't really get to the machines. You have to constantly jump up and over, and in 1.1, they've changed the jump radius, or the jump height, to be much higher, which in some ways is good, but in the other ways, it makes things feel very floaty. You want to just hop over a belt, and you're like, whoa, you know, you're flying for ages, kind of. Now, you could always slide under them, I suppose, right? Something like that. But, I think a better way to design in the future, and obviously loads of people have done this before, I just never really thought about it, is to build our walkways over the mergers themselves. Now you want to be able to see what's rolling on, but to be able to interact with machines by just running along a line here will be far better. So I think in the future I'll be designing factories more like this, where I want everything to be accessible and belts not to get in the way of you. So previously I've always said everything should be accessible, which it is, but the belts and the mergers and everything is totally blocking us. Now look at the size of us. We're tiny. You know, we're tiny. We have to jump up and over all these things all the time. So we wanted to be able to, you know, want to run at the level of the machines themselves. The interesting thing is actually that the catwalk connects to machines itself. It's like that was kind of how they were planned to be done, I guess, in some ways. So it snaps to the machines automatically. So we'll try to build with that in mind in the future. So hopefully we'll just take it as a learning process. So we have one of our first elevators here, we could call it. I didn't actually number or name this one. So one of my pet peeves about the elevators so far in experimental is that there's very little customization with them. They're really cool otherwise. One thing I'd like to see is a slight speed increase. They're just the tiniest bit slow. They're pretty fast, but the tiniest bit slow, I'd say. Especially when you've got big floors. We only have 3 floors at the moment, so it's not too bad. Now you can edit the info here. You can change the music. So I love that. Now when you're editing the floor symbols, right, at the moment we just have 3 buttons for the 3 stops that it detects. which is totally fine. But you can edit them to have a different name, right? So we can say the bottom floor will be, I'm not sure what's there. I think it's iron rods right down below. And you can select an icon. But why? Why have they only limited it to this many icons? It's not even all the other icons that you have in the game. But I would love it if they added some new ones. Really, if you just added the symbols of the equipment, that'd be pretty good, I guess. Or numbers. Numbers would be nice, so I could say floor 1, 2, 3, and I could just see that by looking at the actual numpad. Now, you can change color. Don't get me wrong, it's great. But you kind of end up just having every button looking the same with different colors. And I'd really like to just see like 1, 2, 3. I mean, that would be the most straightforward thing to do. But anyway, we'll just head down. So it's great. I do really like it. I just want, it's like 99% of the way there. I just need just some icons for the buttons and maybe a speed increase. I've also just hooked it up to the roof, just in case I ever was jumping from building to building and I wanted a way to get inside the factory. I don't have roof access in a lot of other factories, but now we do. We just have a little elevator here at the top, so pretty cool. We'll just hop over to one of the other ones. I have alternating skylights and then lights, like regular ceiling lights, so it's a good mixture to allow some light to pour through. Wow, look at the sky now. How trippy. So this would be an example, right? We have go to the heavy modular frames, go to the modular frames, or go to the rooftop. I do really like it. It's quite cool the way you just kind of casually stroll out. All right, let's have a look at the overflow section of the factory then, down by the heavy modular frames. Alright, so the heavy modular frames are here. We have all the overflow belts just like they were before, but now we've got... This was previously coming down all the way, so instead I brought it down to here, across, and then down, just to make room for a little bit of extra stuff going through. So basically, we have our reinforced iron plates, our iron plates, iron rods, modular frames, and then the heavy modular frames will be here. This one's empty at the moment because we're waiting on this to be full first. Just something I noticed. I'll just color this one gray as well, so that's our color for that. Now this was actually full a while ago, and it was starting to back up things, so I just grabbed a bunch and threw it into an awesome sink. So effectively, we have just, you know, a row of containers with a row of dimensional depots on top, and then they all have an overflow splitter, right? They have a smart splitter where it overflows out to a merger, and that merger line goes straight into the awesome sink here. So very simple, really not much to it. Again, a problem with this would be it's a little difficult to get around. If you were just running into this factory and you were like, oh, I want to grab some like modular frames, you have to be like, all right, I just gotta have a look here. Okay, it's in here, and then grab it and then hop back out. So not the most user-friendly, pioneer-friendly experience, I guess you could say. But not terrible. It's just like, yeah, it could be better. If we could have a way of like having pathways going between them, they could be higher up or something, that would be ideal. I think I need to... My old factories in Update 7 and Update 8, I used to hide all the belts. So you would just be walking around interacting with the machine, but you like to be able to see them. So we need to find that middle ground of accessing everything and seeing the belts, but not, you know, interacting with each other or running into each other. Alright, and then the very last thing down here is some of the shelving units. Again, these are a little awkward, a little finicky. I'm not really sure how we decide how we place things on them. The way I've gotten stuff to go on them is you just look at a shelf, and then you just take something out and drop it. And then it kind of just appears on the shelf unit next to you. Now to get it up to the next height, you have to like step on something and then do the same thing, and it's just a little finicky. It would just be nice if you could place things. I know that's maybe a lot to ask for such a small little thing, but I don't know, if you could just do this, and then the menu disappears and you can just place it, that'd be nice. There are mods that allow you to place all objects, but not physical inventory objects. It just allows you to generate a 3D model of a motor and put it down. That would be a different way of doing it, but I would like it if you could just, you know, place things down. That would be nice. The fact that they've added shelves, it's like you've kind of created a problem for people now, because if you do want to place things, it's really like trial and error. You know, it's very difficult. But anyways, small thing, kind of. So one thing I thought I could do just really quickly, I've been obviously just making crystal oscillators like this, right? So most of it comes out of my dimensional depot inventory. We have reinforced iron plates, cable, quartz crystal. Actually, I've already got 9, so that's probably enough. But I thought we could do one last little throughput test just down here and see if it's all adding up. And then we'll call it there for today. So These are all overflow belts, so we'll just go to logistics and conveyor throughput. I don't know if you can snap these to anything. We'll just pop one there. There. So, my understanding, we'll just make them white, is that our iron plates, I think, should be 6 per minute. I believe... Sorry, reinforced iron plates. The iron plates will be 40 per minute. The iron rods should be 24 per minute. And the modular frame should be 6. So we should see 6, 24, 40, and 6, if we've done it all correctly. And while that's calibrating, I'll just stick one here to show, or maybe there actually. And we should see 6 per minute on this. For heavy modular frames. These are free moving belts, so they should give us accurate readouts because they're not stopping going into machines and things for the most part. So, yeah. So far, so good. We're at 8, 25, 40, and 7. When the two 7s hit 6, that'll be accurate. And then these will hit 24. Ooh, 25. 26. Well, that's definitely not right. 40. It's definitely not 9, and that is 6. We're almost there. They'll get there. It is still experimental. But I think that's going to have to be it. So I just wanted to put those things on, just to have a look at them. You can see that they'll still continue to move, given a bit of time. It's not like they calibrate and then just leave it. So it'll probably still work its way back down to the number it needs to be. So the top one was correct, 6 per minute. 40 per minute's accurate. 8 per minute, not so much. And it's got a long time before any more is coming, actually. So looks like it's actually democratized down to what it should be. And then this is at 26. This is the only one that actually has piqued my interest. Maybe it is 26 per minute. I don't think so. I'll have to go check, but I'm pretty sure it isn't. As things have been running for quite a long time. And I haven't seen any yellow lights or anything like that. So that's it, guys. That's the factory. Oh yeah, I guess we could have a quick look at the limestone as well. And how I've done that. 9 per minute. If that was 9 per minute, we'd be in trouble somewhere else. So I'll double check these things. And how's this one doing? 19 per minute. I wish. And the calibration has just given up, has it? Seems like it. Oh well. We'll have to wait for an update or two. Okay, so let's just quickly... I'll go up to the roof, actually. And if we just run and have a quick look at this place from a distance... I also got a little bit lazy with the limestone, so I just built the same bridge that I'd placed over here. And you can see I'm missing my suspension cables there. Same bridge going all the way out towards the limestone, but then I want to have a little building there, but I don't have one yet. So it's just a belt that kind of flies up. Beneath, I went with this. So we've got small support top. So it's just a regular support. Well, the small variant, not the big variant. And then it just has its own midsections. And the bottom section as well. So these will be blueprints that'll be given out as well. I haven't actually categorized them, but just so people are, if they are looking. So I've got the big frame belt track with 8, 4, and 40. So it's just this thing here that you can see above. Then we have the metal pillar with the display sign. The trim is underneath, not above. It's worth noting that. And then the small supports. What else do we have? Oh, and the wall segments, yeah. So I haven't named these probably appropriately just yet, but effectively this will be segment 1, and then you need segment 2, is it? No, okay, I remember now. So segment 1, then you need segment 3 to go next to it, and then segment 2. So that's why it's not named probably correctly, but you'll figure it out if you end up using it. It's pretty straightforward anyway. So just wanted to have a bit of more interesting trim to the building, have like a kind of cooler look and feel to it from a distance. So I'm quite happy with it, with the subunits and the way it looks with the glass and everything. I'm pretty happy with it overall. It's just that while I was doing it, I was like, oh man, I can make this even better. You know, I'm just learning things all the time and reconsidering how things look. So there we go. That's the Iron Factory complex. We have one more milestone to complete, which is popping in 50 computers. Alright, so something I just want to do really quickly is finish off this milestone for railway signaling, and then we can say we're done with tier 6. So in order to do that, we need circuit boards. In order to make circuit boards, I need copper sheet and plastic, both of which we have in our dimensional depot. So I'm just going to sloop it, be a little lazy with this for now. Copper sheet and plastic, was it? So So we'll just toss both of those in, send in our sloops, overclock it, because why not, and just get cranking out 37.5 circuit boards per minute. Then, once I have enough circuit boards, I'll basically switch this over into a manufacturer and start making computers. Now, while it's doing that, I wanted to ask you guys something. It's very personal. In the top right of the screen, we need to make 2,500 versatile framework. We actually had 300 or 400, but I just sent them into an awesome sync from leftovers from before. So you make them by basically sending in modular frames, of which we now make 6 per minute. Not much, but a little bit. And then steel beam, of which we do make 30 per minute. So this would make 5 versatile framework per minute. So if we say 2,500 divided by 5, one machine would take 500 minutes, and that would basically be 8 hours. Now, with sloops, we could bring that down to 4 hours, or we could do it even quicker if we just loaded up 2 trucks full of modular frames and a truck full of steel, dropped it off somewhere here. So I was planning on building the road network further down into this place anyway, and then plugging it directly into the space elevator right here. So a sort of station area here, a road that connects back out, and then connects across to the main road network. I just wanted to ask, how would people feel about that? Now, modular engines and adaptive control units, they will be automated. But the reason I don't want to automate versatile framework is because it would require vastly increasing the amount of steel. Like, you could automate it in one machine, just leave it ticking. That's fine. I'm not talking about that. I'm saying, like, we want to make them in a high enough volume, because versatile framework later down the line does get used in another space elevator part. But I would want to make it in a sufficient volume, like 30 per minute or something like that. But that would require building a whole new steel factory, and it's a lot. Whereas, if we just completed this phase and move into the next one, we'll have better tools in order to build like a proper bigger steel factory later down the line. I don't want to make anything that's going to be redundant, so I just want to feed it manually. I just don't want people to be like, oh, what are you doing? So if everyone's really against the idea, then I won't do that. We'll just build a little makeshift automation. But I would like to manually just deliver 2 big chunks of material over and send it in. Now, like I said, modular engines, they will be automated. We're going to make some smart plating. We have rubber and motors. This will be simple enough. Won't be in the full high number that I'd like to get in the future, but it'll be good for now. And adaptive control units is in a similar position. We need circuit boards automated, so that's got to happen. Automated wiring, that's got to happen. So a copper factory and then another electronics factory for circuits and computers. And that'll be everything we need, because then we have 6 heavy modular frames already. So that's the plan for going ahead. So I just wanted to run it by you, you know, see what y'all think. Alright, I've got what I need. 21 computers ready to go. And finish off our railway signaling. So now we can actually... Oh, I'm a little low on copper sheets. Well, there we go. Right, so this is obviously going to allow us to use path and block signals. We won't be building trains just for a couple of factories, but it won't be far off now. And with blueprints, oh my days, it's going to be so much easier.
Milestone reached. Train signals placed on train rails can control and improve train behavior. This helps to avoid events where multiple trains attempt to...
Alright, so that's going to have to be it for this episode. So basically, remember to go check the whatdarnplace.com/satisfactory if you want to use any of these blueprints, and also if you want to check out the save to see any finer placement of certain things. Like I said, the cosmetics are like 90% done. There's still a little bit that I didn't get to do. Like, for instance, a few of the fans are missing on this unit. They need their border around the sign. It's actually weird. From here, the sign is... Yeah, you get these like black edges on it for some reason, but when we zoom in, obviously that's not there, so it is what it is. Anyways, so a lot of little bits of work to be done, and then I'll give out the save file for everybody, and then we'll do the cosmetics of this at a future date, and we'll start thinking about how power management can be better implemented into factories as well, as we've done that in the past. I know people are eager to see another kind of power control room for me if you watched my previous series. Alright, so that's going to be it for me. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.